The 673rd edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code MMA SGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL season with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Yo, DeGenerinos, welcome to episode 673 of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, dedicated to Jake Heffernan, who made Gumby look smart and won all our friends in the Discord a buttload of money on the weekend. So this goes out to Mr. Heffernan. Thank you for coming to the show. I'm one of your hosts, Jeff Chalks Fox, aka Taco Fox, aka Not a Bowling Ball, aka Cowboy Gentleman, Gentleman Cowboy, something like that. Second half of the UFC episode is now live. Yesterday we covered the prelims. Gumby and myself disagreed in a few fights. So that is interesting. If you haven't watched and or listened yet, make sure you check that out. We give you a nice, some nice underdog fantasy picks as well. So today is all about the 6 fight main card and our fantasy plays. So let's dive into it. Let's bring in the one and only Daniel Gumby Vreeland. Hello.
So I will say, maybe not the most star-studded card, but weird, right? At least it's weird.
It's definitely weird. Why is Brad Tavares in the co-main event other than he has tenure and he's a middleweight? But seriously, come on.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you're lucky he's not in the main event. If
we got to do better than that. We got to do better than this. We can't have Brad Tavares.
I actually think the first fight is better than that. Isn't D-Rod versus Alex Morono a better fight than that?
For sure. Totally.
Yeah. Put that in the co-main.
Low bar, but still, yes. Definitely.
Low bar.
So yeah,
he did beat Chris Weidman.
That's true. That's true. Chris Weidman's making a title run, I think, too. So yeah.
Oh man. Every time you say that, I know it's like the running joke, but it doesn't get any less depressing.
Yep. So today is all about, like I said, the main card. Tomorrow, last week of Contender Series, we will break down on tomorrow's episode, and then we rest for a few days. We watch MMA and don't talk about it. So before we dive into things, just a reminder, we are doing a fundraiser for all the good people that were devastated by Hurricane Helene, more specifically the people of Western North Carolina. We have teamed up, we being SGPN, we've teamed up with the local charity mountainprojects.org to help give back. The biggest donation will get a guest spot on the CFB picks show and a ton of gear. So go to mountainprojects.org and hit Flood Sport. Help out today. Thank you in advance. And thanks as always for tuning in to our show. However you're tuning in, if you're not using Spotify, if you can head to Spotify and give us a 5-star rating, that helps us out greatly. Bumps us up and whatever. The algorithms and all that good stuff. And only you can help prevent corporate gambling from taking over. We would not be corporate gambling. So help us take over instead. Let us be overlooked no longer. All right, main card time. Gumby's already spoiled the opener for you. Daniel Rodriguez, Alex Morono. The exciting opener. It could be definitely could be a if it was up a weighted class, it would be a co-main event. But sadly for them, there is welterweight fight, so they have to do the curtain jerker on the main card. I'll tell you about the great white first, Alex Morono. 24-10 with 1 no contest, 6 knockouts, 7 submissions. He's been knocked out 3 times. 13-7 with 1 no contest in the UFC. Loss, win, loss. So a pattern over his last 5 fights. We used to have a lot of those back in the day. Not so many patterns nowadays for some reason. Regional champion. He's fed at middleweight. Yes, middleweight. 2010 pro MMA debut. 4 years younger than Rodriguez. He's outstruck his UFC opponents by 0.62 strikes per minute, plus 175. D-Rod, the greatest nickname for Mr. Rodriguez. 17-5, 8 knockouts, 4 submissions. Knocked out once, submitted once. 7-4 in the UFC. He's lost 3 straight. Before that, he won 4 straight. He's not won since September 2022. Used to fight at middleweight and lightweight. Regional champion, 1-0 Contender Series, 1-0 in Bellator, 1-1 in boxing. 2 inches height, 2 inches reach over Morono. More active landing strikes, better grappling stats. He's outstruck his opponents by 1.9 strikes per minute, minus 200. I kick off the main card. Usually, I think Rodriguez found his level, his water level, so to speak. He went a little too high and it's been crushed in his past few fights. No, a few fights. I think Morono is the perfect level for him, though. I think Rodriguez is going to beat him. He is better on the feet. He's not better on the ground, but he's good on the ground as well. I think he can piece up Morono and stop the 3-fight losing skid. So D-Rod's the pick.
I think the other thing to notice about this fight in terms of style is Daniel Rodriguez is kind of the archetype of the person who beats Alex Morono. Like if you go back and you watch the guys who Morono beat, and I don't have the list in front of me right now, but it's like he beats grapplers. He beats guys who want to take him down that he can then either sprawl and force him to box. You know, like Mickey Gall is a good example, right? He beat Mickey Gall. Was it Court McGee? He beat, you know, sprawl on those guys, force them to box with you, be a better boxer. And that's like how he's beaten every single one of the like grappling types he's beat. If you look at the 3 losses, it's all people who want to exchange with him on the feet and are faster and sharper than he is, right? Even, you know, Nico Price is the last one looking better than him on the feet somehow. Like Nico Price is a wild man, but like, you know, hits pretty hard and is pretty sharp on the feet. Then you're talking a lot about a loss to Joaquin Buckley, which don't get me wrong, I don't think D-Rod is Joaquin Buckley yet. And also then a loss to, who is the third one? I had 2 out of 3. Oh, Santiago Ponzinibbio. He lost to Santiago Ponzinibbio. Another, again, boxer who wants to throw hands with him. D-Rod sort of fits the bill of the guy who will throw with Alex Morono and be better than him there. And Morono won't be able to like impose his will, stuffing the takedowns and forcing him into a boxing match. He's just going to get the boxing match and just be the slower boxer. So give me D-Rod here. I think he's just quicker on the feet than Morono is. And, you know, to your point, maybe we don't know about the grappling, but I also don't think it's going there.
No, he should be able to get the job done on the feet. And like you said, speed does kill, and he still has the speed. He lost to Ian Machado, Gary, Neil Magny, and Kelvin Gastelum. So, like I said, levels.
And the Gastelum fight was at middleweight too, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Yep, very true. All right, let's move on to, speaking of middleweights, let's move on to middleweight fight, shall we? Josh Fremd, United States of America. Abdul Razak Alhassan from Ghana. 3 5-minute rounds if they need it at middleweight. Fremd, 11-6, 4 knockouts, 4 submissions. He's been knocked out twice, submitted once, 2-4 in the UFC. He's lost 2 straight. Before that, he won 2 straight. Before that, he lost 2 straight. So I guess he's going on a 2-fight winning streak starting Saturday. Missed weight at 185 before. Used to fight up at light heavyweight. 1-0 in Bellator. 6 inches of height, 3 inches of reach over Alhassan. 9 years younger than him. He's outstruck his opponents in the UFC by 0.29 strikes per minute. He's at plus 140. Judo Thunder, Alhassan. 12-6 with 1 no contest. 12 knockouts. He's been knocked out once, submitted once. 6-6 with 1 no contest in the UFC. 1-1 with 1 no contest over his last 3. 2-5 with 1 no contest over his last 8. No contest, last fight. Used to fight at welterweight. Missed weight twice at welterweight. Now he's a middleweight. He looks like a middleweight though. 2-0 in Bellator, 2013 pro MMA debut, better striking stats, better grappling stats, more active landing strikes as well than Fremd. He's been outstruck in the UFC though by 0.35 strikes per minute, minus 160.
You got to go Razak Alhassan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't mean to be mean to Josh Fremd because I do actually like his style. But when you look at the 2, you know, what is he, 2-4? You said in the UFC.
Yeah.
Those 2 wins. Not aged well. Submission win over Cedricus Dumas, who may have some of the more questionable fight IQ out there. And then he beat Jamie Pickett, who I can't even count how many times Jamie Pickett lost in the UFC at this point. Like, they're just not wins that aged well. And then when you look at the type of person who's beating him, like sometimes it's just somebody who can bully him, right? Like that's what Tresean Gore did to him. He got into the clinch with Tresean Gore. Tresean Gore is like, I am way stronger than you, and you are not going to do this to me. Picked him up by his neck until he tapped out, right? Like, I can't imagine Razak Alhassan with his judo background and his, this dude has got huge legs. With as strong as this guy is, Fremd is going to take him down and drag him to the ground. He doesn't want to box with him for 15 minutes. I'm sure of that. I'm not sure why this line is as close as it is. I'm not drawing very many conclusions to how Josh Fremd wins this fight. I'll take Alhassan.
The books know how Alhassan's going to win this fight is by knockout because he's plus 100 only for knockout.
So you get rid of a little of the juice there, though.
Yeah, because that's the only way he wins. So I guess if you're going to pick him to win, you may as well pick him to win via knockout, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's no other way for this man. All right, moving right along.
So you're taking him as well.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're
Yeah, I hadn't gone first. Yes, Abdul Razak Alhassan, obviously. More powerful, better striker, better fighter. He's going to get the job done, probably via knockout. So minus 160 if you're a coward, plus 100 if you have balls and you take him via knockout. So Jared Gooden time, Gumby. He's still around. Jared Gooden versus Chidi and Njokuani at welterweight, 3 5-minute rounds. And that's it. Get into it. Gooden, of course, is Night Train, NITE train. 23-9, 11 knockouts, 7 submissions. He's been knocked out twice, 2-4 over 2 stints in the UFC. Won his last fight via submission, which we picked against him, and then he won. Missed weight twice before. Multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt. sportsgamblingpockets.com/store. Get sticky with it. Used to fight at middleweight. He's been outstruck in the UFC by 1.6 strikes per minute. Even worse than 0.1 or whatever I was trying to spit out. What else can I tell you about him? He's 5 years younger than Njokuani. He's more active landing strikes than him, and better grappling stats, plus 160. Chidi Bang Bang is 23-10 with 1 no contest, 14 knockouts, 1 submission. He's been knocked out 5 times, submitted 3 times. 3-3 in the UFC, 1-3 over his last 4, but he did win his last fight. Probably saved his job there. Used to fight at middleweight, 1-0 contender series, 5-3 in Bellator. Missed weight 7 times at welterweight. You heard that correctly, 7 times. None of them recently, though. Regional champion, 2007 pro MMA debut. Was a pro kickboxer before this. 3 inches height, 3 inches reach over Gooden. Better striking stats than Gooden. He's outstruck his opponents in the UFC by 1.15 strikes per minute, minus 175.
Before we get into picks, because you got to go first on this one, I have a slight correction in some of the information you gave. You said that we picked against Jared Gooden.
Oh, you did pick him last fight?
I think you said we, and I think the word you meant was I.
Oh my God.
Jeff Fox picked against Jared Gooden in his last fight. And Gumby obviously knew he was going to outwork Wellington Turman.
He sure did.
All right, now that we've corrected that and the viewers know, by all means, give me your.
By all means, I'm picking against him, obviously. He's going to get pieced up by Chidi Bang Bang. He's going to destroy him on the feet. So Njokuani is the pick here.
I'm going to take Jared Gooden again.
Oh, my God.
I got you last time with him.
You did.
And I'm going to get
you
again with him.
Wellington Turman is no Chidi Njokuani.
But here's the thing is both of them have the same classic flaw, and it's enough for Jared Gooden to exploit. Do I think Jared Gooden is a better striker? No. Do I think Jared Gooden is a better grappler? In this case, it's a push. Do I think he's better in the clinch? No. Do I think he's got better footwork? No. But what I do know is Jared Gooden has insane knockout power, and Chidi Njokuani has got a bullshit gas tank. And that's exactly the same thing that I said about Wellington Turman in that fight too, is that Wellington Turman's gas tank is not good enough to hang around with Jared Gooden for very long, because whether or not Jared Gooden gets tired, Jared Gooden has incredible power even when he's tired. Now, granted, he wound up getting the submission in the weirdest way in that Wellington Turman fight, but I'm telling you, Chidi is going to, if he doesn't knock him out in the first 2 minutes, cutting down to welterweight, will gas himself out, and Jared Gooden will knock him out in the beginning of the second round.
The lone backer of Jared Gooden backs him again. So, all right.
2 in a row. 2 in a row. What was the number, too?
160. So it's not like you're getting a massive dog here.
I think the books know Chidi's going to get tired, too.
Hopefully it doesn't reach that point. All right. Gumby took an underdog. I disagree with it, but I do agree. We both agree on Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all sports: NFL, college football, MLB, MMA, WNBA, NASCAR, and more. Their lobby is jam-packed with profit boosts. And you can now use specials and boosts on all flex entries. We gave you some nice entries yesterday on the episode. Do you have any picks for today's?
I'm gonna go to the world of football for this one. And shout out to my friend, the Steelers fan, in the comments on YouTube, who said Rico Dowdle would not find his way to the higher than on his rushing yards or his rushing touchdowns. I think I did rushing touchdowns, which he very much did.
Oh, he sure did. He helped me win my week in fantasy.
He sure did. Rico Dowdle, apparently good at football. I'll take the higher than on Rico Dowdle's rushing touchdowns yet again.
All right, there you go. Back to the Rico Dowdle well as well. All right. Sign up with our promo code MMASGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's underdogfantasy.com. Promo code MMASGPN. All right, Gumby shocked the world with his Gooden pick once again. Let's see what we think on the next fight. It's down at lightweight. Grant Dawson, United States of America. Rafa García. I didn't call him Hoffa because he is from Mexico, not from Brazil. 3 5-minute rounds. So I tell you about García first. He is gifted. García, 50-3, 1 knockout, 8 submissions. Never been finished in a fight. 4-3 in the UFC. He's won 2 straight and 4 out of 5, which sounds a lot better. He's not fought those in a year and a half, almost, or even more than that. April 2023 was his last fight. He's not lost since July 2022. Regional champion. Used to fight at featherweight. 2014 pro MMA debut. More active landing strikes than Dawson. However, he's been outstruck in the UFC by 0.02 strikes per minute. So basically a push. Better grappling stats than Dawson as well. Plus 340. KGD is Mr. Dawson. 21-2-1. 4 knockouts, 13 submissions. He's been knocked out twice. 9-1-1. I'm not calling for help. That's his record in the UFC. 4-1 over his last 5. Did win his last fight. Has missed weight before at lightweight. Used to fight at featherweight, missed weight twice at featherweight as well. 1-0 in Contender Series, 2014 pro MMA debut. 3 inches of reach, 2 inches of reach, 3 inches of height over García. He has outstruck his opponents in the UFC, mostly on the ground, I would guess, by 0.87 strikes per minute. Minus 425. Yikes. Go ahead, Gumby.
Yeah, I gotta go Dawson.
Yeah. Yucky.
You know, I almost like got off of Dawson in that Bobby Green fight, or King Green, or whatever the hell his name is. But like, I do think he kind of like redeemed himself in that last fight, right? Against Joe Selecki. He showed his wrestling is still top notch. He showed he's really able to put on a game plan. It does just now in retrospect look like he got caught. And while that's not great against Bobby Green, I do think Rafa García is not the guy to catch him. I also don't think Rafa García is the guy who's going to stuff enough of his takedowns. Like, I think this is a good fight for Grant Dawson to be able to put on another showcase after beating Joe Selecki and hopefully put himself a little bit closer to that top 15.
Yep. Dawson is the pick as well. Don't like the line, but you got to pick winners. And he's going to take care of Mr. García. I don't like that Garcia's been on the shelf for so long as well. So, and he's a guy who, relies on the grappling to win, and he's going to get grounded. He's going to get snuffed out on the ground by Dawson. So, all right, co-main event time. Brad Tavares. Oh boy, Jun-Young Park. See, I don't really have a problem with the Korean Park in here. It's Tavares. That's the issue. Not that I have anything against Brad Tavares. It's just he's not that good, especially at this point of his career. We're going to tell you about him though. He's 20-9 with 5 knockouts, 2 submissions. He's been knocked out 5 times. 15-9 in the UFC, which is actually, a pretty good record. 1-3 over his last 4, though. Got knocked at TKO in his last fight. 3-1 in the Ultimate Fighter. 2007 pro MMA debut. 3 inch height, 1 inch of reach over Park. He's outstruck his opponents in the UFC by 0.23 strikes per minute, plus 155. The Iron Turtle, Mr. Park, 17-6, 5 knockouts, 6 submissions. He's been knocked out once, submitted twice. 7-3 in the UFC. He's won 4 of his last 5. Lost his last fight. He's fight at welterweight, regional champion. 2013 pro MMA debut, 4 years younger than Tavares, more active landing strikes than Tavares, better grappling stats than Tavares, a better striking. He's got a strike differential of plus 1.23 strikes per minute, minus 175. We're getting a hell of a line on Park here, I think. He's a finisher, and at this point in the career is way, way better than Brad Tavares. So obviously better everywhere. Give me the Iron Turtle.
I'm going to take the Iron Turtle too. I am.
Oh, you paused there. I was like, what?
I do worry because Brad Tavares historically has been pretty good against the takedown. Now, granted, he's gotten worse as his career has gotten deeper. But I think Jun-Young Park could probably hang a little bit with him on the feet and enough to make him think about the striking and get to the takedowns.
Yeah.
Jun-Young Park, I really like his top control once he gets there. But I think the reason you see this at negative 170 instead of at, negative 250 or 300 is that there is that question is like, will Brad Tavares' takedown defense just hold up? And this will feel like a really dumb line at the end of the day. So I'm going to go with Jun-Young Park. I do have that slight caveat. But to your point, if you believe in his takedowns and you believe in his grappling, the line definitely looks good at that point.
Yeah. Gumby does not totally believe in it, apparently.
I mean, I believe in his grappling. I just also know that, like, Brad Tavares has been tough in that realm in the past. So, like, I do want to caveat by saying, like, just be careful of that facet of it all.
Yep. Gumby's looking up for you. Gumby the dad. All right. Before we get to the main event and our fantasy plays, let me tell you about BetUS, our friends that are keeping the lights on here for us here. We're brought to you by BetUS. Bet with the best in the business, BetUS. BetUS has been around for more than 30 years. You can easily deposit using cryptocurrency and get lightning fast payouts. U.S. players are always welcome. Sign up and deposit $100 and you have a chance to win a 1960 Ford Mustang. So check out all of that at BetUS and use our link to sign up and get a 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. Promo code SGPN so they know we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book. And SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds. Get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model, copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or press build a model for me. Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and player prop, and also has a myriad of stats, research, and trend analysis, give you even more betting insights. Check it all out there and sign up with our claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RTHMM.
Hey, I really want to throw a quick prop out here before we hit the main event. Jung Park has 3 rear naked choke finishes in his last 4 fights, right? I know Brad Tavares is tough to some, but if we're talking about him having a ground game advantage here, what do you think the Jung Park submission line is?
The lines is right, plus 200.
Plus 1,000.
Plus, I always guess way too low. That's insane.
Yeah,
well,
yeah, I pulled it up and I was like, that can't be right.
That can be.
And his KO line is only like plus 350 or plus 375. It's more likely that he subs them. So, keep that in mind. Tavares, notoriously tough, but keep that in mind.
Notoriously tough. Brad Tavares is the name. All right. Main event time. Flyweights. Hooray. Brandon Royval, Tatsuro Taira, our boy from Japan. US Japan. 5 5-minute rounds, 125 pounds. Tell you about the American first, the Raw Dog, Brandon Royval, 16-7, 5 knockouts, 8 submissions. He's been knocked out once, submitted once, 6-3 in the UFC, 4-1 over his last 5. He won his last fight. Was regional champion, 1-0 in World Series of Fighting. Used to fight at bantamweight, 2012 pro MMA debut, 2 inches of height over Taira, more active when he strikes than Taira. He's got a positive strike differential in the UFC of 0.91 strikes per minute, plus 220. Tatsuro Taira, double T, 16-0, 5 knockouts, 7 submissions. He's 6-0 in the UFC. He's won 2 straight via TKO. Was regional champion. Used to fight down at strawweight, up at bantamweight. 2 inches reach over Royval, 8 years younger. Better striking stats, better grappling stats than Royval. He's outstruck his opponents in the UFC by 1.86 strikes per minute, minus 225. Gumby, a big step up for Taira here.
It's a big step up for Taira. In many circumstances here, I would be on the Raw Dog side. I would be saying this is too much, too fast. Raw Dog, weirdly tough all the time. I'm gonna keep calling him Raw Dog instead of Royval.
Do it.
It's way funnier. I would be on the Royval side for all of these instances at this line, with the exception of one big piece here, and it's the Factory X of it all. I don't know what to make of this situation with him parting from Factory X. By all accounts, it hasn't been all that long, so it seems like possibly a disruption to a main event training camp that he's no longer working with one of the best game planners of MMA, in my opinion, right? Mark Montoya, that name belongs right there at the top of the list as one of the best game planners in the world. And the biggest problem for me is that that's sort of been Royval's problem over his career, is he kind of throws caution into the wind and just forgets his game plan and does something weird.
He's a Raw Dog.
Exactly. But when he goes off the rails and he comes back to his corner in between rounds, and Mark Montoya is the guy who sits him down and says, hey, we're going to cut that out now and we're going to get back to what we're good at. That's a really great thing. And it's really helped him in his career. In this case, I don't know that will be there, right? Because by all accounts, he's training, from what I've heard, and it's very little. It's hard to find information on what's going on with this departure from Factory X. He's training at some gym that he threw some mats down in, and he's got some defects from Factory X and some people who know his game and stuff like that. But he doesn't have an experienced coach and a guy in his corner who I know and trust as being a game planner. And he happens to be up against a guy who, granted, is young, is green, but has a lot of those same attributes as Alexandre Pantoja, right? Pantoja was able to ground him, grind him out, turn it into that kind of fight and put him on his back where he doesn't like to be. Despite the submission wins, he doesn't like to be on his back. He wants to strike. And we saw Taira we've seen him do that a lot of times before. Stick people on their back and beat them up on the ground. I think he can follow that game plan here against Royval. I think he drags him into deep waters. I think he grounds him a whole bunch of times. And I think there's a good chance that Royval gives up some really bad positions doing some spinning stuff he probably shouldn't do. So give me Taira. I hope I'm wrong about him not being the best version of himself, because we all deserve to see the best version of Brandon Royval, and it would make this fight a lot more fun. But I can't get behind him knowing that I don't know that it's there.
Yeah. Yeah, I was concerned that this could be the prospect loss that you see, and it wouldn't be. It is a lot very fast as I stumble my way through that. But yeah, I'm going Taira as well here. I didn't even know all that, the whole coaching piece behind it.
It came out when Alexander Hernandez was fighting and Royval was in his corner, and they're like, Royval is effectively his head coach now, and I was like, what does that even mean? But like, it didn't hurt Hernandez because he was fighting on short notice against a different guy who changed camps too.
Yeah.
But like that, I mean, it begs lots of questions, none of which seem to be getting answered.
Yeah. Yeah. So give me Taira as well here. And we like the guy. So way younger at flyweight too. Helps. All right. Let's recap and we'll get our fantasy plays. We both have Taira, both have Park, both have Dawson. I have Njokuani. Of course, Gumby has Gooden. Both have Alhassan. Both have Rodriguez. All right, time for our fancy plays.
Do you know I have all of your fancy plays already?
Oh, good. Because I was struggling to figure them out, but I think I figured them out while we were recording. So
I got them right here. Yeah.
Okay.
I got them all written down.
Good. My lock is the Iron Turtle, Jong Park.
And I'm 1 for 1. I wrote down that you had Jong Park. And then I'm going to take Clayton Concrete Carpenter, -200, like his wrestling game against Lucas Roca.
Okay. Dog is easy because I already have, 2 of them? Corey McKenna, popping.
2 for 2.
All right. The prop's going to be hard to figure out, but maybe you got it.
My underdog, Jared Gooden, plus 160. I think he's going to tire out Chidi and Njokuani. I was going to throw him possibly in a prop of being the knockout, but the number isn't actually all that much better. They know if he wins, he's going to knock out Njokuani. It's plus 220 on that one. So, I'm going to stick with just the dog play here on the money line.
All right. So let me see. Let me mark it down. Gooden plus 160. All right. All right. For my,
I'm so pumped. I need this.
This is a big one for him. All right. Ramazan Tamirov via knockout or TKO at plus 290 is my pick here.
Plus 290 on that.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. See,
I had you penciled in for Abdul Razak Alhassan by KO.
Yeah, I was thinking that was my backup.
Man, 2 out of 3 ain't bad though. I'm gonna take 2 out of 3.
Not at all.
I'm gonna shout out Crunch here. I'm gonna go Sloppy Fatties over. I'll take my prop of the week. Sloppy Fatties, the opening fight of the night between a pair of maybe not so experienced heavyweights over 1.5 rounds. You can get that plus 200.
All right. So Sharaf Tafa over 1.5, you said?
Yep. Plus 200.
And what was it again? Plus
200.
200, I'm sorry. All right. Got it. All right. We will recap. Carpenter and Park are our locks. It's going to be new already. Gooden and McKenna are the dogs. Sharaf Tafa over 1.5, aka Sloppy Fatties over, and Tamirov knockout are the props. All right, Hunger Man Junk, Superman Parlay. It is a 2-fight parlay. It's going to win us mucho money. Hopefully. Gumby, go ahead.
So I teased it on yesterday's show, but Cody Haddon knockout. I like Daniel Argueta quite a bit, but I do not like how many punches he's going to take here from Cody Haddon. You can get that at plus 275 right now, which I really like as a number for him. And I'm going to pair that with Pat Sabatini's submission line. I do know that Jonathan Pierce is tough, but he also likes to grapple. I don't like his chances in a scrambling match with Pat Sabatini. That one's coming in at plus 375. So if you squeeze those two together, you're going to get plus 1681.
Nice. Plus 1681. Beauty. All right. You're all set now for UFC Vegas 98, aka UFC Fight Night. Royval versus Taira. You want to chat more about it? We shall be in the Discord. Chat about whatever you want in there. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. Twitter. Twitter. We'll talk about that. SGPN MMA. Gumby's at Gumby Breathing. I'm at Jeff Fox right there and on Instagram. Of course, excuse me. Of course, YouTube. MMA Gambling Podcast. Make sure you subscribe, and you can hit us in the comments there as well. Check out my Substack, enter my pick'em contest. Now that you know who's going to win all the fights at the UFC Vegas 98, enter my pick'em contest and win. It would be moneymma.substack.com. Gummy's got Top Turtle MMA podcast. He's got 2 exciting guests on this week, and they are
Daniel Pineda from an upcoming UFC event and Melissa Croden from the upcoming LFA event.
So check all that out. And of course, we are sportsgamblingpodcast.com, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Back tomorrow with some DWCS, the very last time this season. Gumby, take us away.
I'm Jaden Gumby Freeland. He's the Night Train, Jeff Fox. And
Rub it in.
we'll see you tomorrow.